Carolyn Doobie here. What's the play for today? Well, today I'm playing on a piece of trash. A piece of a cardboard box. I was trying to open it. The box would not open. Of course, could I have gotten the scissors to actually cut the tape off of it? Probably would have been a smart move, but instead I just ripped, and what happens is a piece of the box came off, a ripped piece. And that's what I'm going to use for my play today. Now, why am I using a ripped piece of a box? Well, because I have no expectation that that is going to be something amazing, incredible, wonderful, revolutionary. It's just a piece of cardboard, and it's a piece of, well, trash. So there's no pressure for me. There's no expectation that it's supposed to be amazing, which means I can just let myself play and have fun with it. Well, here's that piece of cardboard. Yep, can't you tell? It's just a piece of, well, scrap, trash, junk. And I'm just finger painting with some different colors on it. My goal is to try and keep one color per finger, or one finger per color, however you want to talk about that, and just have some fun playing and smearing color around. Now, I adore the feeling of paint on my fingers, but if you don't like that feeling, could you use a paintbrush to do this? Absolutely. Paintbrush will do the same thing. I just really like getting the paint on my hands. And I have no expectation that this piece of cardboard is going to become something amazing. I have no expectation that this piece of cardboard is going to become the masterpiece, the culmination of everything I've ever thought of, dreamt of, created. It's just a piece of cardboard. So I can mess around with it, play with it, and smear the colors around any way that I want. The paints that I'm using are Dilutions paints, and you've probably noticed that there's a lot of paint in the green one, and that's very creamy because it's fresh. And my yellow one that's almost out of paint, the paint is a lot thicker. Well, that's what happens as the paint sort of gets older and that kind of thing. If you don't want your paints to get thicker with the dilutions, each time that you use them, just squirt it with some water before you close the lid up. But if you're like me and you sometimes like having that thick paint to play with, it doesn't bother you a bit. Well, now I've got the color on the cardboard and I wanted to add some lines of white. So I am just going to trace around the circle using a fine liner. Now these fine liners, I've got a video explaining how they work and what I love about them, but basically I don't have to wait for something to dry because throughout this whole thing, I am not going to wait for things to dry. I want to work on wet paint because I'm impatient. But I also love some sparkle. So I'm going to stick my finger right into some of that Viva Decor glitter paste and I'm going to get some sparkle on here. But I'll give you a hint, smearing the glitter paste on, it gets a little challenging when all the paint's wet. So you might think, hey, maybe she'll let the paint completely dry. No, not so much. I'm just going to keep doing it and whatever happens, happens. Because I don't want to wait for things to dry. I'm just not that patient. And what I'm using now are some water-soluble oil pastels from Prima. And when you're writing on something really, really wet with an oil pastel, it doesn't tend to show up as much. And one could say that this was kind of my muse trying to hint at me to let things dry, but I'm not going to listen to that. I'm just going to keep playing in any areas that are drier. The oil pastel will adhere a little bit more easily. The places where the paint is still really wet, it won't adhere or show up quite as well. But I think it gives it a cool look, so I'm just going to keep right on doing this right on top of the wet paint. Now this video is just one of the videos in the Let's Play series. This is an entire video series dedicated with specific ways to let yourself play. So like in this one, it's all about having no expectations as you start playing by working on something that's basically trash or junk. So there are no expectations with it. It doesn't have to be anything. And if you'd like to see all of the other Let's Play videos, head on over to the blog at acolorfuljourney.com and they're all listed for you over there. Well, I'm just about done adding color to this piece of cardboard, and I'm starting to think now about what kind of words I want to put on it, because I love to put words on top of things. But on this one, I have to say, I couldn't quite decide exactly what word or phrase I wanted to put. At first, I wanted to put my play, and then I wanted to put my art. Or do I want to do my art play? Well, so I know I want my to be in whichever way I go, so I'm just going to take the word my off of my Finding Your Tribe stencil, and then I have to decide what I'm going to do for the other word. Do I want to do my play, or my art play? Well, what am I going to do with this? I think I'm just going to have to go with the one that involves the most words, since I love words. So I'm going to go with my art play. And this was the beginning of me thinking. And once I started thinking, then I started to get out of play mode because I'm like, well, where am I going to position the word art? Where am I going to position the word play? What color am I going to become? All these decisions, and that was really kind of squelching the play for me. So I just needed to start doing it. If it wasn't just perfect or just right, it was just going to be an oops, an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly, which is what happened here. The word play, since it's in white paint, was hard to see since part of it's over white. White doesn't show up on white usually. Strange how that works. So I grabbed some of the turquoise paint, teal paint, whatever color it is, and I put that right over the word play. Well, that white paint sure didn't stand out the way I wanted, so I brought in a green fine liner to use, and it was just pushing out way too much liquid there, too much color for me, so I'm going to do something else with it. So I grabbed one of the oil pastels, and guess what? The paint's still wet, so the oil pastel really doesn't show up much on it. So I'm going to try something else. I'm going to grab Old Faithful, that Stabilo pencil that will write over anything, and it will write over most wet paint. Now, as I'm doing this, I want it to stand out even more than what it is. And Stabilo pencils will react to water. In fact, they become incredibly dark whenever they get wet. So I'm going to grab a little cup of water and I'm going to dip my pencil right into that water. And when I dip it into the water and let the tip get nice and wet, then it's going to give me a darker line. So the wetter that tip is, the darker the line is going to be. So I just need to keep dipping it right back into that water if I want that super, super dark look. Well, thanks for joining me for today's play. If you've been enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you know of somebody that you think would enjoy a little more play in their day, I'd so appreciate it if you shared this video with them. And if you'd like more play, I've got a free workshop called Permission to Play. Notice this theme here about the play. And that has all sorts of downloadable videos waiting for you. And you can find all those details over on the blog at acolorfuljourney.com. And there's also a Facebook group if you'd like to share what you're creating called A Colorful Place to Play. Thanks so much for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.